Yeah.
That's her.
It's her account that we're using to.
Well, she's the administrator of the account.
Okay. Yeah, do we have anybody out there?
Just, no participants.
All right, okay. Well, then chair will call the meeting to order. First item agenda is to approve the minutes of June 11th. Your motion.
So moved.
Second, any amendments or changes to the minutes?
No.
Not hearing, all those in favor of adoption, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the vote unanimous. Item number 2 is to recognize our finance team for our outstanding audit award.
I gotta go get the finance team.
Yeah, look at the finance team in here.
Yeah, well, can we go real quick while we're
Yeah.
waiting to that?
Okay.
Under old business.
Yeah, we'll do a roof update.
Okay, this is on the update on the roof units. Monday we had the Zoom meeting, Sarah Lineberry and Brian Young, which are both from Concord. Which is good because we'll get 2 people I can deal with now, and then Turnstone was Tony and Pat. We had the Zoom meeting and discussed that. What we're gonna, from now on, what we're gonna do with the courts. They are going to, as they're working up there, we're gonna try to move like jury trials and stuff, different courtrooms to try to keep the noise down. We're gonna be bringing in all the 12 units outdoors, doing a lot of work on them on the ground rather than on the roof to keep the noise down. Yesterday, we all came in and there was 2 roof drains that had to be moved, and we got them moved yesterday. Up on the roof, we have the gas pipe, and the gas pipe and all has to be replaced. Rusted, it's not sized correctly, the new units and everything that's going on up there. And by doing that, I spoke with Justin about the antenna wires that are up there are all attached to the gas piping. We'll have to go up and get all that stuff moved. I will be taking him up there next week and kind of go over that. So as far as what the plans are is they're gonna start working at 5 in the morning. To get going before the courts, and the courts said that they're shut down between 12 and 1:30, so at that time we can make noise. So we gotta kind of work around
Yeah.
the trials they have, and but I think it's gonna
At
work
least
out.
it's better than just doing Saturday and that's it.
Right.
So what's the estimated time to finish now?
They're figuring 5 months, And then upstairs, we have units that gotta go on, they're exhaust units, which is gonna move the air within the building. And them units run on 208 electricity, and all we have up there is 460 and 277. So in the telephone room on the second floor is empty, we're gonna put a transformer in there and a sub panel that we can wire all the units into.
Okay. All right, you guys have any questions? Okay.
So that's.
Thanks for getting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for getting that done because,
And again, welcome back.
yeah.
Thank you.
All righty, so we get the finance team here now.
We have the finance team.
Congratulations by being recognized by the Government Finance Officers Association for another award. Now, I'm trying to remember how many of them, you know, I have another button up there, those awards.
There we go.
Huh?
It makes 10 years.
10 years? I think we're the only county government in New Hampshire that got the award.
As of last year, I'll be honest with you, sir, I didn't look this year. As of last year, we were the only county.
Yeah.
And in previous years, in total, there was 8 municipalities and or one time the state government was recognized. But I haven't updated that. I'm sorry, I should have been in preparation for today's meeting, but as of last year, there was 8 entities, most of them which got it for 1 year.
Right.
But it's available online as to what other New Hampshire entities, were recognized. So, and that would be for, an outstanding audit and for transparency.
Well, there you go.
Well, I want to thank
Stratford County
Bill,
strikes again.
I want to thank Bill and Sharon for all the work that they do.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we have a good team over at the nursing home as well.
Right,
With Cheryl Moulton, we have Dot Grew, we have Cassandra Dagny. You know, we have a really good group of people that
I think it's worth mentioning.
get this
too,
done.
You know, I think it's worth mentioning too, that we, you know, we have a handful of people doing this work. Other counties have 2 and 3 times the people that we have.
Well, the other part of this, Mr. Chairman, is that a number of the people that Diane mentioned also do payroll.
Correct.
So it's not just finance. I mean, they
Right.
do payroll and payables, you know, as part of their jobs. And that, you know, that's, you know, we don't sub out payroll, we don't,
Right.
you know, that's all done as part of that group. So it's not just finance that they do.
Well, again, you guys do a great job. We're lucky to have you. And, I don't know, any more to say than that? We're just lucky to have you.
Congratulations, yeah.
Congratulations on being
Thank you.
recognized again.
Also, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, one additional thing is we internally, and I think we're one of the only counties that does this, but we internally do our cost report.
Right.
For-
Yeah.
Riverside Rest Home,
Yeah.
both our Medicaid cost report, which is certainly the more 100-something pages document. But in addition, Diane does the Medicare cost report also, which fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, because we don't do a lot of skilled care or Medicare A, we can do a short form.
Mhm.
But we did do well with, you know, and having that done back in the old days, you know, 20 years ago, we would be in a position of, having to, pay to have that done on the outside.
Well, it's all good news. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Everything you do. Since we get the sheriff here, why don't we talk about item 4, the antenna restoration issue? So, Justin, the major.
Morning.
Major.
So I think we're on our last phase of this radio project, it's Tenerife radio site. All the electronic technical part is done. This is one of the only towers that we have on private property, and the resident's kind enough to let us use her land. Thankfully, because she just happens to live on the top of a mountain, and it makes it very convenient for us to have a high radio tower. The last part of it is to get her lawn back to where it should be. She's asking us to just simply grate the dirt, flatten it out, get rid of the construction equipment. As far as there was an old shack that had been up there, I think decades, that is gonna fall down on its own. Get it out of there and get her property back to where it should be. This is the last part. It's an excavation, and we have a contractor lined up and he's ready to go, and we get authorized to do it.
So again, the county paid for the entire, radio upgrade project.
Yes.
And I, believe that the chief's fund will cover this last part.
All right, I think we're good with that.
And I'll work with the major on.
Work on the major on
I'll work with the major on that.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to report because that was,
I know the lady was complaining, she had some concerns.
she had some concerns about the length of time, and poor Justin's been doing a lot of work on his own time up there. You know,
Absolutely.
trying to accommodate her concerns, and I went up there with the major and you know, it certainly could be cleaned up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll make her happy.
He's not asking for a lot. She just
Yeah.
wants,
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll help her out. She's, you know, that mountain is important to our communication system. You know, it's one of the key elements to it. You know, we spent $3.5 million upgrading that radio system for all these towns. I know they complain and they say we don't do anything for them, then we spend $1 million to upgrade their communication systems. But we wanna be a good neighbor to her, absolutely, the county, so. Okay, you guys, any other comments you wanna add? No. All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, very good, you work with them?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yeah, the major and I, we're all set. I mean, we've been, I've been up there with him before.
Okay.
Very familiar with the site.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
We certainly are.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. All right, you have anybody here to talk about the golf tournament? You gonna do that?
No, Maria's due here, any second.
I'm sorry.
Is he here?
Yeah, she's here.
She's here. I said 9:15, so I was,
We were pretty close.
pretty close. Hi, guys.
The
Come
golf
on,
team
sit down.
and the golf crowd.
Yep. Hi there.
So for the record, we held a fondest wish golf tournament like we have for the last 19 years. Here's the crew that put it all, most of the work behind it. So Maria, what do you get to tell us? How much money did we make for those folks across the street?
$17,394. Yes, our best year to date, so we're pretty excited about that.
So last year, I think we did like 15 or something, if my memory serves me correctly. 14, 15.
It was,
Right around there.
Was it?
I thought it was significantly less, but I would go back. and
Yeah.
check. I think it was around.
Well, we had a rain out, we had rain last year too. That didn't help matter. Well, that's great. It all seemed to go pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I haven't heard any complaints, other than the one hiccup with the one.
Yeah, the Rochester Round.
Right, the whole sponsorship, which was actually not, it was a friend sponsorship, but it was all worked out. I spoke to the secretary, he was totally
fine?
fine with that. Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
yeah,
And as you know, every penny that comes in goes into the fund.
Correct.
The only thing we might do is buy a couple of raffle gifts that we then raffle off.
But we actually have a Christmas raffle and all of that money is used to purchase the prizes. So it's kind of, we don't really put any money out. We've raised it all. And now we just have to spend it. So we do have some good ideas for that as well.
Can you go over a couple of those?
Yeah, one of the things we're looking at doing is renting out the New Hampshire Children's Museum for Grandparents' Day for residents and their families and staff to enjoy as well. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them. A wheelchair accessible golf cart, because that's a really popular thing that we
yeah.
previously contributed to. Possibly another cruise, a blow up outdoor movie screen. And we'd also be willing to contribute to a vehicle that the activity department could use for more trips, because we don't have the buses at this time, so. Yeah. We have a
I'm
lot of
sure
great
we'll put
ideas.
that in the capital.
Yeah,
Buses and stuff in the capital.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes.
Okay. All right, well, you guys did a great job.
Thank
Everybody
you.
seemed to have a good time. The food was pretty good.
I think it was really good. I didn't get to eat any, but I heard it was good.
Yeah,
But the weather
Best part
was,
about it.
the weather was perfect.
yeah, well, best part of it was your shirt. I love your shirt.
Right, and next year is our 20th, so we're
Right.
hoping to go way overboard.
Yeah,
Yeah, it should be fun.
Can't believe 20 years.
I know, it's
It
amazing.
doesn't seem possible.
No, it
Right,
doesn't.
and Keith and Karen have been there from the beginning, so
Mhm.
I owe a lot to them for
Yeah.
sure.
okay, well, thanks for the report. We'll hold you guys up. Did a great job.
Thank you.
Everybody was happy.
It's funny, Sandy and I play cribbage in the winter, and some of the people that play cribbage actually already start giving me checks for
Next year.
for
Wow.
Next year.
for June.
Thanks, guys.
Because they want to reserve the spots, because we sold out this year,
Yeah.
a number of teams, and everybody wants to play Kachiko because it's, a reserved course, you can't play there unless you're a member, or participate in a tournament like this one.
Alrighty. That was a good time.
They always do a great job.
Yeah, yeah, they did. And Chico was pretty good to us too.
Yeah.
The golf course. All right, so item 5 is to begin to talk about our 6-year capital improvement plan. For the record, the commission has asked Mr. Bauer to work with the department heads to begin the process of putting together a 6-year plan several months ago. It's in preliminary form. So we're gonna kind of leave it up to Ray and Doug to figure out where you want to start.
So
I mean,
Copies for the public?
I have, one, I didn't know we were gonna have two, but I'll make you another one.
but these are all draft, these are in draft forms.
These are just drafts.
Yeah.
I'll make, we'll make one.
Let me.
You email it to me,
Yeah.
right, cause Sophie, do you want this?
Well, it's just, you're just gonna make one anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
It's
Sorry
easier for me to
interrupted
see
you.
it on the screen.
I will, it might take until Monday because Janet's out and it's in her computer. Is that okay?
Thanks, that's perfect.
Okay. So, just so you know, we're still pricing out some of these items. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. A lot of vendors this time of year are busy, especially paving and HVAC contractors. And they understand that this is not a sure thing and that they're doing this as a courtesy to us. And a lot of these are very big jobs that I imagine the quotes are quite involved. So I have been working with quite a few vendors to try to get them out here to take a look at some of these items, the Hyder parking lot especially. Paving vendors are tough to get a quote on this time of year. But we should have that probably within the next week or so, and then we can get finalized on the rest of these, get all the documents uploaded, all the quotes. Have a better idea of where we're at for a total.
So Doug, can you kind of give an overview of the process of what you did?
Sure.
Because not all of this is yours.
Right.
You know, there's other departments, but yours
Sure.
is the bulk of it. So I thought we'd start just giving the commissioners an overview. And as you know, this is gonna be a, you know, week by week process
Correct.
for them to review everything in detail.
Correct. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, everybody in attendance. What we have here is a draft list of some of the larger items that would qualify for the 6-year capital improvement plan according to the rules of the capital improvement plan. Many of these are in excess of $60,000. A couple of these are packaged up as different parts of treating the same problem. Water intrusion is a big problem on the county with the age of the buildings and with some of the geological engineering that goes on here. And I'd like to remedy that in order for us to save this stuff going forward. I've tried to prioritize the items that I didn't think would make it the 5 or 6 years. The smokestack out back of Riverside is a priority. Again, Hyder's parking lot is a priority. Drainage is really taking care of the pavement over there. Hyder's roof is another large item. We should have a better picture of this coming once I get those last two quotes in for the paving over there. We have taken care of a couple of the smaller items just through building repair funds. Some of the culverts and some of the draining that we've seen going on around here, we've been able to take care of just one at a time. So that takes it off of this plan, which is nice. But the process is, again, I go call vendors that we know, vendors that we trust, vendors that have done right by us before to get some sort of idea. And we tell them up front that, look, we're just looking for a number. So I have a ballpark because obviously we don't know. We're not experts in a lot of this stuff. And then we'll have a good picture of what we need to do to put it out for bid once it comes up. Well, we have a good handle on what's needed here. The buildings are in pretty good shape. The roof of the courthouse is going to be an issue, but we won't be able to address that until the air handling project is finished. I do have a vendor, which I should have a number either today or tomorrow, from a salesman, Nick, who's gone up there and actually done hands-on quoting to find out what's going on with the underlayment. So we'll have a really good picture of that.
So could you talk a little bit about how one of our focuses has been security at Riverside?
Sure. One of the issues that we've had in the past is when folks are released from the jail, or sometimes when they come out of treatment at Southeast New Hampshire Services, sometimes they don't have resources to leave the county, whether it's on a weekend when there's no buses running or just no communication. You know, they come out basically the way they went in. So one of the first stops that they have is Riverside. Some folks are in different states of crisis, different levels of need. Sometimes it's just a simple phone call and maybe some food and we're fine. But what we've done is we've had two companies come in. We had A and B, and we had one source who did the work downstairs in the sheriff's department come in and quote us on adding some security to Riverside. Basic badge access, similar to what you folks have here in this building. We asked about panic alarms. And we asked about some enhanced closed circuit television and recording capabilities in case anything ever does happen. We've gotten a wide range of quotes from about $60,000 up to about $120,000. We determined that the $120,000 was more than what we needed. The $60,000 seems to cover exactly what we need and allows access while not making it feel like it's an institution and while making it feel like folks are able to visit. I know personally that I've observed ever since the COVID pandemic and the lockdown, it's important to make sure that folks know that they can come in and visit anytime that they want. And one of our vendors, A&B, was sensitive to that because they've done things like this before. So that's what we're looking at to secure the Riverside building.
And one of the sensitive issues that's been discussed in the last couple of meetings has been the sewer piping.
Yes, the sewer piping. We had Wind River Environmental, which is a division of Felix Septic Service. We had them come in and they were gracious enough to charge us a one-time fee of $1,000 to do a complete camera inspection of the Riverside facility. This was a multi-day inspection, normally costs anywhere from $7,500 to $10,000. They did it out of the goodness of their heart, and they have been following the new building project. And I told them that we are going to be here for at least another 5 years. It's crisis level. Almost the entire sewer system is missing the bottom of the pipes. The pipes are buried in sand and concrete, and the bottom of the pipes are missing through acid and just through normal wear. It's all cast iron piping. We got a quote of them of about $1,000 a foot to line the pipes, and that seems to be about the going rate according to what I can find. Again, that job will go out to
Do
bid.
you know what size those pipes are?
Most of the sewers inside are 4-inch, and then once you get out to your junctions, they're 6-inch out to the muffin monster down at the bottom of the hill there. Yeah, it was worse than we thought. I do have a complete synopsis of what they propose to do to repair it, and it is disruptive. It will require moving some residents out of rooms because that's the only access to the sewer pipes. So we would have to move some residents out of rooms, jackhammer down to the pipes, have them lined, and then fill them back in and move the residents back in. So it's a substantial project. We're on borrowed time right now. They found sections where they would go down 2 or 3 feet and the pipe was missing, and you go into an open lagoon, and then there's 6 or 8 feet in the down the pipe is where the pipe begins again. And that happened in several spots. They were kind of horrified at what they saw in there. So overall, right now, just as a Band-Aid, they're looking at $125,000 to stop where we're at now for our deteriorated pipes. They didn't go any further than that, but they said we can assume that the rest of the pipes are in the exact same shape.
So they would line the pipes, not replace them?
They would line them where they're not accessible. The pipes run underneath the length of the building,
Right.
and under the length of the building, if you're at the ground level, is all residents. That's all under the residence rooms. It's not in the hallways.
So what do they do when they have a section missing?
They have a guide that they send down, a guide wire into the old section of pipe, and the new section fills it in,
It just,
and then goes into the old pipe.
Bladder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
what's it made out of?
Pool noodle, if you can imagine that. It goes in like a pool noodle and then it hardens up. And they said it's about 100-year lifespan
Wow.
on that product, which is obviously longer than that building's gonna be.
So when you line it, it's a 4-inch pipe.
Mhm.
What does that reduce to?
About 3 3/4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes in thick and then it settles in.
Yeah.
It fills in the permeations and will hopefully buy us some time. The sewer leaks that we've had up until this point, thankfully, with the exception of one, have been accessible. They've been in the ceilings, they've been on the second floor and things like that, but you know, the only thing that's saving us is these things are underground and they're not coming up through the foundation, but, if we ever have a blockage of some kind, we're in big trouble. Cause that could take out an entire unit, you know, we would have no sewer for an entire unit. So that's another priority. It's very important we get on that as soon as we can. Get those pipes remedied.
So is there a quote on here for that?
Yeah,
I just got some information from Wind River. Again, it was a pretty involved quote, but that's where we got the $125,000.
It's about a 32 page, quote where they actually, because they send cameras down there,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting. I got to see it and, you know, during.
You saw it firsthand.
Well, I was just being nosy and I wanted to see it. And they, showed us, they showed me how they did it and, they explained, it's not like you're looking at a TV.
Hmm.
You know, they explained how it worked. And they actually took a whole bunch of pictures, which is part of that 32 page proposal.
Right. And as the drain pipe deteriorates and fails, that opening closes up more and more and more and more. So we've gone from a 4-inch, we're probably operating at about a 2-inch right now. We keep it, we keep it clear as best we can with chemicals and with snakes, but we don't want to disturb it too much.
well, what we'll probably do, Raymond, is set up a bunch of meetings with individual department heads moving forward.
Yeah, when Dougie is, you know, ready with all the pricing, we'll, you know, go over each project by project by project.
Yeah,
Yeah, I should have that all by next week.
With all the information. And again, if Dougie's not ready for next week, we can certainly start on the house of correction. We can start on IT, you know, those, because there's much smaller in scope, not necessarily smaller in price, but
right.
smaller in scope. You know, we can, if you're not ready for next
we'll just
Thursday,
figure it out.
we'll just move them into place. So just let me know.
Right.
And then we'll schedule it. Obviously, yours is gonna take some time.
Yeah.
Well, I've been looking through the list, I don't see there's not a lot of surprises there.
No, it's all stuff to do with, the age of the buildings.
Age of the building.
Yeah. Thankfully, the buildings, foundation wise are in good shape. The walls are in good shape. The roof has been maintained. I don't anticipate any surprises there. Our HVAC equipment is very well maintained. Not necessarily new, but very well maintained. So we do a pretty good job of keeping that together. But again, we have.
But stuff gets old.
Yeah, draft.
You can't buy parts, you can't, all the stuff, all the
Correct.
technology has changed.
Yeah, obsolescence is tough, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Practically in every industry, All right, well, is there anything you want to add up to this, Raymond, at this point?
No, I just wanted to give you an idea of understanding the process.
Yeah.
And what we've, again, this is, I don't really think there's gonna be a lot of stuff added to this. There might be a few things that I noticed that I wanted to talk to Dougie about.
Yeah, we were looking at handicap accessibility for transitional housing. There is limited handicap accessibility for men's transitional. There's none for women's right now.
So we really,
I want you to add that driveway on the other side of the parking lot that we and I have talked about forever, that goes up towards Ridge.
yeah,
We need, I don't like during the summer that we have, people have to travel all the way out, we're talking about 6 years. It's a lot of fuel people are gonna spend on their cars that get around the whole loop.
Right.
So, Ray and I had talked about it for 4 or 5.
it missed the last 6-year capital improvement plan.
Right, so we're gonna I want that, and make sure that we get that in there.
Okay.
I'm thinking of some other stuff too, but. That's the one that comes to my mind right off the bat.
Yeah.
And we might need to make some adjustments to the roof project here.
Mhm.
I know that's a piece of this, but
Right, I have a good feeling about the latest vendor that came in. He went above and beyond. The other ones I just sent pictures to, and I got wildly varying estimates. Most of them seem to just want to cover what we have there, but it can't be covered. It's been done twice already. It needs to be ripped up and done right.
But the 3 roofs that they're building.
yeah, lots of flat roofs in New England,
Yeah, they're just not, it's just.
But we have
You and
got
I've been here, right? I think we put 3 roofs on it.
two,
In Skyline,
and the
we did
original one.
The original ones, yeah, so there's 3, right? The
So,
original
yeah,
one and 2 others.
in 50-something years, that's not too bad with flat rubber roofs.
Yeah,
Right.
it is what it is. You know? All right,
All right.
you guys got anything you wanna add, subtract at this point, or any other instruction for the group? No? Well, good, all right,
Thank you.
thanks, guys,
Thanks.
appreciate it. Okay, we got an employee, appreciation bank, that's tomorrow night, right?
It's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. In Durham.
And I just wanted, I'm not sure it's on there, but, for upcoming events, but on Saturday, there's the brick ceremony at Hyder at 11.
Well, the brick,
Yeah.
that's at 11
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. We've gotten great cooperation from the sheriff's department. They'll just help with traffic direction. We've gotten about 60 families that have responded to, our invitation, which would be, and I'm sure we'll have some families that will be here, that didn't respond. Saturday looks to be like a pleasant weather day, as compared to today and the way it's been the last couple of days. So hopefully we'll get a good response. So that would be primarily set up to honor the people who have passed in the last year. However, we have some people that year after year
Right.
to honor people who have passed at Hyder.
Yeah. Are there any? I'll go over, I'm gonna be heading over to the jail later on after this meeting to do a jail inspection, just so you guys know. Okay, do we got any old or new business to discuss? Want to bring up? Raymond, we all good on old and new business?
I'm good, sir.
All right. I have any questions or comments from the public related to the agenda? You got any questions or comments regarding the agenda this morning?
Of course.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I was a little late this morning and I only caught a part of the gentleman and I don't know his name, but he was talking, I believe, about the roofing system here and the not ventilation, but whatever we're
Right.
doing to correct this situation. And if memory serves me correctly, this wasn't the first time in the last several months that you've talked about this, and you made the comment, and I just would like to know, are we going to be on budget with this? Is it going to go over budget? And if we're gonna be going over budget, do you have an approximation? Because you did say a figure. And where is that money going to come from?
It's all ARPA money that is paying for the roof systems. The trouble we're having is the disruption of the court. First of all, we did this project at the request of the courts because they were concerned during COVID regarding the air handling systems in this building. So we didn't want to lose them as a tenant. So we used, there was ARPA money available for us to use for that particular project. I'd have to have Mr. Bauer speak to you regarding the specifics on the financing, but the money's coming from ARPA.
And there will be some overages, which we will pick up as part of, we're proposing to pick up as part of the capital plan.
I think you had mentioned approximately in like $1 million.
Mm.
Is that, are we pretty
That
much
was
on
steel.
that target or
Yeah,
was that just?
pretty
the-
much. No, we're pretty much on that.
We're pretty
target.
much on that target, but we're gonna know a little more when we get the units here and get them ready to be on the roof. We'll know a little bit more about how things are reinforced up there. So that's a little bit of a flexible number that we'll know before we put this capital plan and through the funding process with the delegation.
Okay, so you're saying is 100% including all the overages is gonna be covered by ARPA money and we're just gonna
No.
hold over, or we're gonna have to come up with,
We're gonna have to.
say if theoretically, for argument's sake, $1
Right.
million, we're gonna have to put this somewhere in the budget in the capital expense
Correct. That would- Over 6 years, or
over
depending on
6
how
years
we
or
end up.
however long it
Right,
takes
however-
us to pay this off.
Right, depending on how
Okay.
we set the programming up, because remember, this is 6 years, so it gets phased, it would be phased over time. Of course, the roof project can't be phased because they're here doing it now. The steel has been the biggest issue. To hold up the units. That's been the biggest hurdle. That was a surprise to us. But that's what happens. I mean, we have surprises all the time. That's what this job's all about, dealing with surprises. So,
It's life.
yeah, that's the steel to hold up, the new units. The roof just didn't have the strength, at least according to the engineers, didn't have the strength to hold them. And then, so then we had to get prices to keep them up on the roof.
So the biggest problem is, of course, that if you remember during COVID, we were the last
Right.
Courthouse to reopen. That, because we barely
Made the threshold.
barely made the air refresh rate. So we needed to do something about that or risk, the court, which pays us in excess of $600,000 a year in rent, losing them as a tenant would be devastating, because it's not like you can, turn it into housing or so, or convert it to some other useful project, so.
The other issue too was that this building, when it was built, Seabrook was gonna come online, everything was gonna be, we were all gonna have free electricity forever and ever, amen. We did look at.
It was just a wee little kid back
Yeah,
then.
We talked about maybe putting the units on the ground, but we can't do that because the air handling systems wouldn't work appropriately, because the way the building was designed, this building was sealed. It was designed to use electric heat. When it was first put together, so all the ductwork and everything would have hadn't been changed. You'd have to gut the building. It wouldn't have made, it'd have been cheaper to tear the building.
Financially feasible.
Yeah.
And we also had some code problems, some updated code problems with the cafeteria downstairs.
Yeah, just a bunch of stuff that took place. That was a expensive change out that needed to happen to meet the new codes. I mean, we've done a pretty good job of keeping this building up to code, but every time they change a code, if, like, for instance, they come in tomorrow morning and see these doors are gonna be 42 inches wide instead of 36 inches wide, you're gonna have great difficulty making that occur here without spending a tremendous amount of money, because the building was designed a certain way. You get certain load issues, certain carrying costs, the carrying load, the way the building was constructed. So we've been able to just make as much of the changes as we can, but when COVID hit, it changed the whole dynamic of what we're dealing with in terms of air handling in this building. And for that matter, in all the buildings, we're lucky in the jail because we can evacuate the air within 3 minutes. That makes a big difference. You can evacuate the entire air in the jail within 3 minutes. Another building that's sealed. It doesn't have windows. You can just open a window. It doesn't work that way. So, the security. Thankfully, yeah. Right, they all climbing out the windows and getting them down. So they're complicated systems. This system just happens to be very old. It didn't have those rules and regulations back then. So that's the name of that thing.
Okay, my next question is, I don't mean to be the dead horse, but we're now into month 6 or 7 with regard to absolutely no movement on the new nursing home. And I've asked before, and I'm gonna ask again, and I'm gonna keep asking at every meeting, for the three of you to come together and hold a delegation meeting. And I know the elections are coming up, but why waste another couple of months by the time the new delegation is seated and they get their feet underneath them? Are we looking at another year from now before we even start talking? And I think that's ridiculous, and I think you need to put the partisanship behind you and move forward for the sake of the people and the people of this county.
No, appreciate your comment again. The commission has extended an invitation to the Republican caucus. They want to have, they seem to want to have a full delegation meeting, but they want to control the agenda. That's not how it works around here. They don't get to control the agenda. They can ask to place things on the agenda if they so choose. But that's a decision of Mr. Schmidt. And as you know, the Republicans wrote to us and said that they wanted to control every aspect of the agenda. That's just not gonna happen. That's just not gonna happen. The Democrats won't agree to it. Schmidt won't agree to it. And
So what you're saying is partisanship has kept its way into the county government when most of you have said that it's never been partisan, and now it's becoming very partisan. What you're just saying right now is becoming very partisan. Put your differences aside
what purpose would it serve for us to have a county
to
government?
move forward,
In what fashion?
clear the air.
Yeah, in what fashion though? You're gonna have to spend money.
You know what is it, a couple $1,000s when we're looking
No,
at
I'm
billions
not
of dollars?
talking about that. I'm talking about spending money on the nursing home. If there's no appetite for it.
I think that there is an appetite for it, and I think that there were several Republicans that were in favor of this. And that they are willing to work out the differences.
Well, we offered to meet with them to try to figure out what that
When
would
did
be.
you offer to meet with them?
I sent them a letter 2 months ago. More than 2 months ago.
And they were willing to meet with you, and you gave them some options,
No, we said,
and they responded back.
oh, they responded back by saying they wanted a full delegation meeting where they control the agenda. That's what they responded to. We didn't respond that way. That's the way they responded. That's the facts. You may not like it, Susan, but that's the facts, okay?
Well, I'm just gonna keep showing up at every meeting,
That's
we're
fine.
gonna continue to have the discussion,
That's fine.
that's fine.
And by the end of the year, I won't have to worry about it because I won't represent you anymore.
Hell of a statement,
I'm only kidding, but it's the truth.
kidding, wow.
It's the truth. Think about it. There are consequences to the actions that have been taken here. There are consequences.
Is that a threat?
It's not a threat, it's just the facts. It's just what happens. What happens is in other governments, and I've seen it all my life, other county governments become very, very dysfunctional as a result of districting. I've seen it all my life. I've been president of the county commissioners in this state for 30 years. I have some idea how it works, okay? And I'm all in favor, as I told you the last 3 times. We're willing to meet the Republicans in public or private or whatever, however they want, to see if we can work out some compromise, if there is a compromise, but it involves spending money. Okay, not to have the meeting. It involves wanting to have the willingness to want to spend money on something. That's what it boils down to. What that is open for debate, I guess, at this point. But you're gonna be willing to appropriate the money. If you don't have the ability or the willingness to appropriate the money, then we're just wasting our time. And I don't know, I go to a lot of meetings. I don't want to waste my time. I just won't. Been around too long. I'm not gonna play games. It is what it is. You either support something or you don't.
I'm simply asking.
Yeah.
And I will continue to ask.
Okay, and that's fine. You have a right to do that. For sure.
Exactly, thank
For
you.
sure. All right, you got any other questions or comments?
I have.
Yeah, Cliff.
Ray, these 6-year master plan, 6-year capital improvements plans, have you done this in the past? And
Yes,
Yes.
do you, I know at the state level in Public Works, we handle the 10-year plan and stuff. One of the concerns I had them, sometimes these plans just become placeholders for things.
Mhm.
And I asked them, when you have a 10-year plan, do you actually, can you actually make it happen with the money you're spending in those 10 years or what have you? And they said around 2002, the state changed the 10-year plan because there was stuff on there that 15 years later still
Right.
not done.
That's right.
You know, so I don't know how much of an emphasis you can put on, okay, guys, this is what we need to do, and we can do this in 6 years. We can get the funding to do this. And I would just ask that, I know you will anyway, but diligence with the 6-year plan, say, okay, realistically, can we do all this in 6 years?
when we did the last 6-year plan, there was a period of time, Representative Newton, when you weren't on the delegation. We reported like on the progress of the 6-year plan to the delegation, and that's what our intention would be here.
Yeah,
Although you were involved in the tail end. And I'm sure you'll remember, part of the 6-year plan was to put a cover over the center of the roof of Riverside.
yeah, that was before me.
But I'm getting to where you were involved in it.
Yeah.
We found out that wasn't feasible because of the asbestos that was located inside the brick and the amount of money it would cost us to abate that. You then were asked to vote on taking that money and putting it towards the project that we talked about today, the radio project. So yes, you were involved in the tail end of that, but you weren't involved in the beginning of that. But I'm just trying to give you an example
Yeah, that's a
of
good example.
that you're exactly right.
Yeah.
That there is times during that 6-year period when needs shift. But when that occurs, then we need to involve in this case, it was the executive committee because the money was already appropriated. So it was simply moving it from one purpose to another. It wasn't asking for more money, which is
Yeah.
what we would need the delegation for. So you were actually involved in the tail end of that. And I'm just saying that as an example of, you're right, those things do happen.
Yeah.
And that's how we've handled it in the past.
We've had in the 10-year highway plan in the city, in the state for the last 40 years, we've had, an exit off of Spalding Turnpike to Somersworth. A new exit 11, okay? That's been in the 10-year highway plan for 40 years.
Yeah.
Never been constructed.
Yeah.
You know, they put it in and it never gets built. The city of Dover has $120 million capital improvement program. I will guarantee you, a third of those projects will never be constructed.
Yeah.
It's more or less of trying to plan, but like Ray says, things happen. Things happen, life goes on, stuff takes place. When it does, priorities shift. It's difficult to figure out what the priority is gonna be 6 years from now on anything.
But part of this process
It's a good process. though,
part of the
because
process that we're going
identify
through
things.
is
Right.
an effort to make sure we're not doing that.
Well, it's a good idea. It's good to,
Well, the other thing is, if you go year by year, Representative Newton, and the cost of going year by year, pushes the budget so that we would need to bond the item. It's senseless to pay bond costs year after year after year after year.
Right.
So we pick a 6-year period and then bond it for usually for 10 years. To get those things accomplished in 6 years. Now, we actually went a little bit longer than 6 years the last time, because of the radio project. And that kind of came up because we got, some direct money from, Congressman Pappas.
quite a bit.
Yeah, about $750,000. So it kind of pushed the project, that and the fact that we had such a large section of the county where portable radios, when a police officer was outside of their cruiser, portable radios didn't work. When I asked why, the simple answer was the trees grow, and get in the way of communication. So
A good example of that is the scenic vistas that you are no longer seeing it because they won't let you cut the trees down.
Trees down, right?
You know, we run into that.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to say, Commissioner, Watson, did I understand you didn't run again? Right. I want to thank you for serving the, city of Rochester and the county of Strafford for the time you did serve. It's quite a commitment and I appreciated what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will continue, week by week with this project. If Doug's ready next week, we'll.
I'll just leave it up to you to determine who comes in.
Right,
Order.
because we can always bring in Paul Kapreski, you know,
Right.
for the IT and we can.
Yep.
You know, there's things here for housekeeping and laundry and
Yeah.
dietary, you know, in a much smaller.
Yeah.
Quantity, and the backup will come in with each project, which is the capital improvement form that we use. Like I said, some are more detailed, like you know, you're gonna see all the pictures of all the pipes, you know, because that was a 32-page report from that company. So.
Sure.
Going back to the sewer issue over at the nursing home, does that have any implications as to, the air quality? And if that was, I mean, I heard the guy say something about, lagoons underneath there, and that obviously emits odor and whatever. Does that affect our residents at all?
No, fortunately,
Encapsulated.
it's encapsulated.
Underneath
Do we know
concrete.
that for sure?
Well, we know that that's what the company told us that we brought in. You know, and that's what they do. Obviously, any issues in the ceilings, we fix, you know,
You can- that's easy.
those we can fix.
You can fix,
The-
but when you can't see it and it's underground, I'm sorry, but I,
I can only tell you what the experts have told us. And I actually did have the opportunity to speak to them, I mean, when maintenance was working with them to, you know, go over the critical areas. We knew about this as a potential issue because we had a small break in one of our storage areas in the basement. However, that break we managed ourselves, and we found, it was about, I think about 20 feet. And it was, we dug it out ourselves with jackhammers. It didn't interfere with the residents at all because it was one floor.
It was in the basement building.
In the last few months. That's what made us bring in this company, you know, to do that, is that we were afraid that this existed in other places, you know. But I can tell you that it's not a job we can manage. I can guarantee, we don't have the equipment to do that,
I fully, I understand that.
nor do we have the knowledge. The video equipment that they brought in was
It's phenomenal. It's very interesting.
unbelievable, unbelievably, you know, I was kind of shocked that that type of equipment existed where they could go down and look with cameras. I didn't know that existed, but I was so educated.
And how are residents doing without COVID?
No symptoms, a little bit of malaise, occasional cough, no one had to go to the hospital. It was brought in from the outside. Unfortunately, I don't want to go into details
That's fine.
because I don't want to make anybody feel
You
bad.
can't make people feel uncomfortable.
But it's we've confined it to one unit, but it's on the worst unit to confine it on because it's on our dementia unit and you cannot ask of those residents to, you know, stay in their rooms or, you know, they.
Hard to manage them.
Yeah, it's, although some of the residents where it began are actually now in a position of being over. Over the time limit, so we expect that it will, you know, resolve itself in not too long a period. Again, we're happy we've kept it on one unit. but we've still been, you know, sending activities up to that unit and, you know, we did, vaccinate the entire facility, within the last few months. You know, to say that there was a new vaccine out is not correct. It's merely a booster of the
Of
past
the
vaccine.
past.
So, but because CMS announced the value, or the CDC announced the value of, boosting the last shot, about 90+% of our residents were boosted.
I just wish them the best and happy that it seems to be under control.
Yeah, and it seems to be going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's all that we can ask.
Fortunately, again, no one has risen to the level of needing to go to the hospital. And for some people, there's no symptoms at all, but you have to aggressively test everybody. You know, on that particular unit. We've tested on other units, but we found nothing.
Thank you for letting me ask those extra questions.
Yeah, no problem. All righty, item 9 is going to non-public session. Discuss personnel, a motion to non-public, seconded. Roll call, Commissioner Corolla.
Yes.
Commissioner Watson, myself, yes. Okay, the commission will retire to non-public session.
That's it.
That's it, yeah, shut it down, brother.